going on, Lake listeners? Thank you for coming back for more of the Grow, Thrive, Inspire podcast. Today we have a very special guest, an agent who has received numerous recognitions, some of which are being in the $1 Million Club and the Multi-Million Dollar Club, a Hall of Fame and Angel Award recipient, and a gentleman who had previously served as a board of directors member for the local Chamber of Commerce locations. My personal friend, Mr. Ron Slaughter. Ron, thanks so much for coming on the show. I'm so excited that you're here.
Kaylen, I've been looking forward to having some time with you and share some of the stories that have been in my past. I've been a resident of Camdenton all my life, and having to go outside this area to realize how wonderful the Lake of the Ozarks is probably one of the greatest lessons of my life.
Really? Well, Ron, that's kind of where I wanted to begin with you, was just telling our listeners and myself too, just more about yourself. Give us a little history.
Well, a little history I can provide. It may not be all that interesting to everyone, but we all play our own role in a life. I never expected to come back to Camdenton after I left high school, which I graduated here, went on to MU, and the college life just wasn't what I was expecting, so I dropped out and joined the Air Force. And this is where I found myself and basically grew up. The Air Force allowed me to experience a career path for growing up and for becoming your own person. And from there, I became interested in travel, and I found work out of a company from Rochester, New York, that allowed me to travel with the work in Missouri and Iowa. It was good for me, and then I was finally able, after 9 years, to circle back to Camdenton.
Well, that's awesome. And now the company that you're talking about with New York, was that where you were a territory manager?
Actually, the territory manager was a facet of working for this company. We sold business machines and business equipment.
Oh, okay.
And it was a national company in competition with NCR at the time and with IBM. It was called Burroughs Corporation.
Oh, okay.
The territory manager evolved when I moved to St. Louis and took care of the business for this company throughout southeast Missouri.
Oh, wow.
And then at the same time, I was going to college at night. I was living in St. Louis, going to college at night, selling real estate on weekends, and managing my territory during the week.
Oh, wow. Well, and I'm glad that you brought that up, because I wanted to kind of switch and hear about, how you got started into real estate and what it was like when you went through the years within the industry. You had mentioned to me that you'd owned your own office at one point, and that you went to another national company even. Like, how did that all happen?
Well, it was a normal progression for me because my father and his father had both been affiliated with a national real estate company.
Oh, okay.
And when my dad took ill with a heart attack, he said, kid, if you're ever going to want to get back to Lake of the Ozarks and sell real estate, he said, now would be a good time because I need some help.
Wow.
So that's when I left the St. Louis market and came to Camdenton, and we worked together until he retired.
Oh, okay.
And shortly after that, the company that we had a franchise with asked me to consider being a district sales manager for the national company. And being young and enthusiastic and feeling like I had some wind under my wings, I chose to go ahead and accept that offer. And I worked out of the Kansas City corporate headquarters until the company sold. And that allowed me to come back to Camdenton and do what I enjoyed the most, which was listing and selling real estate for the community that raised me.
Now, what brought you to Remax?
Good question, because back in the early 70s, working with a national company, we went to a lot of trade shows.
Okay.
And there were some guys in Remax that were at the trade shows also, and we would compare notes. We would compare the company structure. We would compare the name recognition and our marketing techniques. And I was with a company that provided all of the client leads that I could ever handle. But it was not the same personal lead generation that I have experienced with Remax.
Oh, okay.
And so I chose to get on a bus that was a little bigger, a little better, and a little faster.
Well, fast forwarding a little bit, you have now been in real estate for about 48 years, is that right?
I think that's about right.
And you have a ton of recognition. So what do you think you've done within your business to kind of be so successful? Was it sticking with the basics, as we like to call it in the industry? What are those basics, kind of, in your opinion, if that's what it was?
The strengths that you gain through education and experience in the real estate industry, it allows each client that you meet to unfold a new story and a new set of circumstances. So you have to do your interview, your counseling to find out if there's a true motivation for selling the properties that they have, or if there's a true motivation for relocating. And I have only availed myself to be myself. I don't have any reason to mislead anyone. I expect everyone to trust my guidance and know that they're going to get through the transaction in a complete, smooth and seamless way.
I love that. You were our recipient of our Angel Award in last year, 2019. Can you describe that award and what it was like for you to achieve it? I remember watching that. It was pretty awesome.
Thanks, Kaylen. I was awfully excited about it. I didn't even know that an Angel Award existed. But so I was surprised. And the neat thing about achieving accolades is being recognized for something you do naturally. Mm-hmm. And as Jeff and Jason told me, it played a role in absorbing the Camdenton office into their franchise, because we were able to adjust, and everybody came on as a team. Mm-hmm. And we got a tremendous boost, from Remax Lake of the Ozarks, with a lot of tools to work with. But being an Angel Award, being singled out of a group for doing something you thought was just natural was a really good feeling, and I'm tickled to death for that award.
Do you remember kind of what the demographics of that award was, the recognition of it?
The elements that they were trying to recognize was to fulfill, without imposing on others, a natural path for success.
Success, that's cool. So looking back at your amazing history, what was your most favorite award that you've received?
I don't know that I've received the highest award that I anticipate yet. Mm-hmm. But I would say that being part of the just being part of the real estate Remax real estate organization is a reward enough.
Yeah, is the award that you love the most. That's really neat. So switching gears a little bit, with your experience, what advice would you give to other agents in our area?
There are a lot of great agents in our community. I think there's a need to understand the market a little better. Mm-hmm. I think you need to spend a little bit more time investigating the properties that you're working with, so that you can be better informed to help promote that property, whether you're promoting it in a national ad or whether you're promoting it to another realtor that you're working with. I believe the property knowledge is key to being able to show sales success.
Mm-hmm. And to service, and that's solid advice. What advice would you give to those interested in the real estate industry or joining real estate as a whole?
I hope there's more people out there that are looking at real estate. We've had an excellent year seeing the successes in sales in this year. I think education is one of the things that you have to look at, being familiar with all of the tools that are offered in the industry.
Yeah,
And
there's
then,
a lot.
Everybody's getting into it to make a living. You have to think long term. You're investing in your future, and you want to make sure that there's good leadership, good training, good visibility with your real estate office, and a good marketing plan.
I think that's excellent advice. You were mentioning the market and the industry right now, this year being pretty successful for real estate in general. But what advice do you find yourself offering to clients lately that you could share? I mean, do you find yourself kind of repeating yourself as far as when you're talking to clients, just some big topics right now within our market?
When you have a changing market like we have, you have to be very astute as to what trends are taking place. Years ago, an individual could buy a home and they'd have to wait 3 to 5 years to sell it and make any money because there wasn't a lot of appreciation. Today's market, you can buy, and because the demand is greater than our inventory, property prices are escalating. But I think establishing, having a knowledge to establish what the value of a property is in a changing market is a very important part of offering your property for sale. And then when you're coaching prospective buyers, they need to have an understanding of what the history of this property is and what its potential is, because we're seeing more visitors at Lake of the Ozarks this year at one time than we ever have before. And I don't see where it's going to change.
Yeah. Do you find that really exciting?
I find it extremely exciting because not that it's ever been stale, but when you see the interest level from points far beyond what our normal trade area is, because it's always been said that people within a day's drive or 550 miles would be your audience. But all you got to do is look around and see the people from Colorado, California, New York, Ohio, and South as well. We know that we're becoming much more than just a summer recreation place for neighbors.
I love that. So switching gears just a little bit, you are also very active within our communities. So to name a few, you've served on the board of directors for our local chambers. You were a Cancer Crusade Chair and an elder and board chair for the Community Christian Church. So what inspired you to be so active, and what are some things that you've really loved about serving?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that. You have to realize that the local community is what supported my wife and I, our family, for all these years. And the need to give back is what was impressed upon me. And I was able to volunteer my time for these organizations and others that weren't mentioned, simply because those of us that were raised here and left, we gained a little bit of knowledge and a few skill sets that may have been absent from this area.
Okay.
And we were able to give those to the organizations in the leadership roles so that they could see that, they really hadn't fulfilled all of their potential yet. And so we just added to that, and that's what we do. We give back.
That's great. Is there anything from serving in any of those organizations that has really just stuck with you?
If I had to narrow it down to one thing, it would be impressions.
I love that.
You can put out a lot of products and a lot of advertising, but the guests that we have to be impressed with what they're seeing, whether it be the entrance into the community, whether it's driving down a business street, or whether it's through a subdivision. If we aren't able to impress people with these elements, then they're not going to be attracted to our community other than just seeing the lake.
I love that. And speaking of our community, you have a really big niche here within our Camdenton market, as well as all over the lake. But you're here at the Camdenton location. What do you love most about Camdenton? You mentioned, you were a Camdenton grad and you came back to Camdenton. You serve here. I mean, it's a pretty great community, but what do you love most about it?
The thing that gives me an admiration for Camdenton is the community itself. Whether you're working with someone who's bagging groceries at the store, or they're in a leadership role at the county level, or even at the state level, these folks really have worked together over the years to overcome a lot of obstacles, kind of getting a new community on its feet. And it doesn't make any difference if you're at the refueling your car or buying groceries. You're going to run into somebody and they all have the community's best interests at heart.
Yeah, I think that that's so true. I mean, I can't go to Walmart here in town, for example, and not run into 5 or 6 amazing people that I've made connections with. And I love that because my children get to see that. They get to see, that close-knit, family-centric almost environment here at Camdenton. I also love the community because I see it in the years that I've been here, just keeping that momentum going to reach the potential, grow more, do more things. I mean, we're getting a Dollar Tree, and I know a lot of people probably think that that's not as cool as we do, but I mean, it's a big growth for us to see new businesses coming along, especially through COVID too. I think, supporting our local small businesses here and everybody kind of going that route to make sure that the community is stable and continuing to thrive. I think that is really inspirational to me personally, but everything that you said is outstanding. So last question. It's a 3-parter. First one is, where in your life or business would you like to grow more and why?
I only have one area that I really feel like growing in, and that would be my Christian faith.
Oh, I love that. And where in your life or business are you thriving in right now and why?
Well, I'm fortunate to have a name in the community that's been fairly long-lasting. And so one of the things that I enjoy the most is hosting conversations with past customers and clients. They're seeking me out more than I have to go out and canvas. And that's a real tribute for folks that have been customers since the 70s that still come and seek me out when they need a change in their household or their ownership. It makes me feel really, really proud.
Yeah, and I'm sure that those relationships are extremely strong for that length of time. Okay, last one. What inspires you and why?
I think there was a time when real estate there was a lot of naive thoughts about what real estate consisted of. I mean, back years ago, real estate agents sold property out of the trunk of their car. They didn't have to have a real estate license. They could be anywhere in the state they wanted to be. And then the National Association became part of the state, and the state was rules and regs were adopted by the local boards. There was only maybe a dozen real estate companies down here when I was young. So what has been the challenge is bringing the technology and bringing the learned spirit of real estate, the ins and the outs of the transaction, and protecting the consumer, because there was a lot of less desirable results for many transactions in the early years because there was no policing. And now we have that. We have guidelines to help us through situations that might be questionable. And I suppose that might answer the question.
No, That's perfect. Well, Grow, Thrive, Inspire listeners, we could not be more thankful to Ron for bringing his amazing history and knowledge here and sharing it with us. We have about a couple more episodes coming for this season, so be sure to tune back in on Wednesdays and find us on Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, and Instagram. Or you can visit growthriveinspirepodcast.com. Be sure to also check out our Remax Lake of the Ozark Facebook page for any open houses coming up. Open houses are posted on Thursdays for the upcoming weekend, continuing our goal to help you fall for your next home or vacation spot. And remember to always grow, thrive, and inspire. See you soon.